Hi, this is Jennifer McGuire. This is the first of many videos that I'm doing for 2peasinabucket.com for a class called Thinking Inking. This is the first week, which is about distress inks. Let me tell you a little bit about the class in general first, though. It is a 9-week class. There's 3 videos per week, and it focuses on using Ranger and Hero Arts. So be sure to come back often to see and learn new things. Now, this first week is about distress inks, and these are the first projects that we're doing. You can see all of these backgrounds were done using distress inks, and then also the embellishments too. I first wanted to start with just the basics of these inks. Distress inks are wonderful because they have great colors and they stay wet longer, so you can blend with them and do lots of fun things. These are the distress inks here. First I'm going to start out, but I'm just using these tags because they're fun to work with. They're just office tags. These are ink applicators. You want the foam ink applicator right there. You can see it. It peels on and off. So if you just want to get one applicator, you can, and then you can get different colors of foam or different pieces of foam, one for each color. But I like to have a bunch of applicators so it's quick and easy. But they really hold up, and they are perfect for using with this ink. Now this ink stays wet longer than most dyes, which is great. And you can see I didn't even ink up this applicator, but there's still ink in it from the last time I used it. Now here's a bunch of my inks opened up. I'm going to show you the right way to use this applicator. I am working on a craft sheet, which is from Ranger. It's one of my other must-have tools, and I start by keeping the ink off the paper and working it on. That's how you end up not having those big blotches of ink. So see, I'm working onto the paper, so there's ink on the surface I'm working on too. You can do this on anything, but I like to use this craft sheet. So now here I'm going to do some blue, and watch, I'm going to start off the paper and then work on. So you can see how it blends much more smoothly. Now since these inks are dye inks, they are very good and vibrant color, but what's special about the distress inks is they stay a little bit wet a little bit longer so that you can blend nicely with these. You can do this with other dye inks, but it won't give you nearly as nice of results. So here you can see I'm just finishing coloring up this tag with different shades. I like to mix colors, but not too much, and make sure if you have a little green on top, do a little green on bottom, but you can really do whatever you want. So there I got some nice coverage, and I love the distress look that you have there. Very pretty. So now I'm just using the inking tool to put ink just directly onto the edge there. It goes on nice and smooth, which gives it a real nice definition. Now one of my favorite things about distress inks is they are stable colors, but they do fun things when you touch water to them. So you see those splotches in the background? I love that look. What happens is they're stable colors, but they won't break down when they're wet, but they do wick. So watch this. I'm just going to flick water on it. Watch how quickly the ink starts to wick and spread out. It's a really neat effect. They're designed to do that so you can do these fun things with them, but the color won't change, and it'll be really nice true colors even when they're wet. So you can see that cool effect. This is one of my favorite tips. Now this is something else that I thought was fun. Since water is so cool with distress inks, I took this tag. You can see this blue background here. I just inked up the whole background with Broken China Distress Ink, which is my favorite of the colors. It's that blue color. So you can see that whole tag is covered with Broken China Distress Ink. And this is a distress embossing ink. It's real nice, sticky, clear ink. So it's good for embossing. You can use Versamark or some of the others like that, but this is my favorite because it's really nice and thick ink. Works great for embossing. So now you can see it's wet from that ink. Now I'm going to spray it with a little bit of water. I'm going to put this paper down so I don't spray my tag. First I'm going to ink off just slight bit of the embossing ink, just a little bit. Now I'm going to mist it with this water mister. So basically that embossing ink is just holding the water on there as I go and stamp it on to my tag. So you can see it already starting to wick. So that embossing ink was just there to hold the water onto the stamp, and there it is onto the tag. Here's another one I did on the brown. I thought that was a neat leather look. Just another example. Real subtle, but lots of fun. And here's yet another thing I like to do with inking and distress inks. Sometimes I have pattern papers like this one that were originally white with bold colors, and sometimes I have a hard time using really bold patterns like that on a card or on a scrapbook page. So this is something that you can do, is just blend any of the inks over the pattern paper to give it a more muted look. So you just keep working the ink over it, and you can see how you get a totally different look from this bright pattern paper. It's great to have two options like that, and you don't have to use brown. You can use any color at all. Yellow would have been nice in that one too. And here's yet another idea for using your distress inks with your ink applicator. You can see this masking that I did here at the bottom of this tag. I'm going to show you how to do that. And this is, I started with Shabby Shutters, which is one of my favorite green distress inks. I love this color. And I'm just going to cover the whole tag with a light layer of this ink. And you can see I kind of left it more color on the edge and did it lighter on the inside. That's a typical fun thing that you can do with inks, but here we're going to take it to another step. So I'm taking this mask. This is from Tim Holtz, and it's clear, which is great because you can see what's going on underneath the mask. So you can see if you like the ink under it with what ink you put over it. Now this is just cut from a piece of one of his long masks. I just wanted a small piece, so I just cut it. And you can reuse it, of course. Now this is Broken China Distress Ink. I'm going over the whole tag with this and right over the mask. So you can see that mask start to block off the ink there at the bottom. So now I'm going to peel this off again. I can keep using it. And you can see how the green shows through down there on the bottom where the mask was, but blue shows at the top. Now I also love to use distress inks to ink up different embellishments that I have. So you can see all these flowers on here were altered with distress inks. You can do this with other colors of inks, but the distress really give you a great true color and blend in really nicely. So I'm just rubbing some pink ink, the Tattered Rose ink from the Tim Holtz line, the distress ink, right onto the top of that flower. So you can see how you can make it real subtle, or you can really push with the ink applicator to totally change the color of the flower. So I'm going to change that cream flower to this vibrant strawberry color. I love that. So you can buy just your basic colors of flowers. These are Hero Arts flowers, and change them to whatever color you want. Now these are also Hero Arts flowers. These are their collage flowers. And I'm just lightly rubbing this ink applicator with some dried marigold distress ink. Now this one, I'm going to rub the same color onto a Hero Arts felt flower. This is a great felt flower because it's got adhesive on the back. So I'm just putting a little bit of color on it to just soften it. Now this is a Hero Arts stamp, and this one I'm going to actually stamp onto the paper flower. Distress inks are perfect for this because they won't bleed. So I'm just going to stamp this Hero Arts stamp onto this Hero Arts flower, and you can see how I've just completely changed the look. Now I've had people ask before about these little stems and leaves that I do, so I thought I'd show you real quick. You can see on all of these cards here, I just hand cut the stems and flowers. It's real easy to do and a great way to use up some of your scraps. So I just have this green piece of paper, and I'm going to cut an arch, and then I'm going to go back and cut a thin arch along the one that I cut before. So you've got the thin stem, really easy to do. Now I'm going to go back and just do a little leaf like that. And then I put a little fold in it just for some dimension, and then I'll roll up some mini glue dots and tuck it behind that ridge in the leaf to give it some oomph. So here are the final cards. The stamps are all Hero Arts stamps, and the inks are all from Ranger. Now be sure to visit twopeasinabucket.com for a PDF on this class, and also some other tips and techniques for using distress inks. Big thanks to Tim Holtz, Hero Arts and Ranger, for supporting this class, and you can find out more information on this on a June 15th post on 2Ps.